We're here today to present to you our findings on the MacBook Pro 13-inch. I'm joined by my fellow presenters Alexandra, Ashley, Sam, Julia and Samantha. And now on to Samantha to tell you a little more about why we're here today.
The brand and sub-brand that our group is presenting is the Apple MacBook Pro 13-inch. We will be exploring the consumer decision-making process for the purchase of said product. And through each step demonstrate the marketing elements in relation to the CDMP of the MacBook Pro with the two other competitors in the field. Them being the Microsoft Surface Book i7 and the Dell XPS 13. Some of the new features to the MacBook Pro is a touch bar which allows you to access apps in a different way. It also has a 2.9 GHz dual-core Intel Core i5 processor and everything else you see here. The outline of the key products will include the consumer decision-making process, steps 1 to 5, then being the need for recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and post-purchase behavior. The conclusion, our recommendations, and then references. And now to Alexandra, who will talk to you about needs recognition.
The first stage in the consumer decision-making process is need recognition. It occurs when a consumer is exposed to internal or external stimuli that trigger any of the 5 senses and creates an imbalance in a person's actual and desired states of being. Once this has occurred, a person recognizes either an unfulfilled want or need or both. In regards to a MacBook Pro, consumers might be triggered to purchase when the actual need for a new laptop presents itself. This may occur when their current laptop has broken or is no longer satisfactory, or if that person is embarking on a new venture like a job or studies that requires a new laptop where no requirement previously existed. Alternatively, a person may recognize a perceived need or want for a MacBook Pro if they learn about a superior product in functionality and design, are influenced by others, or feel compelled by cultural attitudes to make a new purchase. One example of an actual need leading to a new purchase might be newer functionality becoming a requirement for work output, like the inclusion of a webcam to allow for video conferencing between work colleagues. One might also consider the capacity for process-intensive tasks, such as video editing, an increased internet bandwidth to accommodate the rise in digital video streaming, a greater storage capacity, or a lighter frame to be actual needs faced by the consumer. Here is Sam to tell you about information search.
I'm here today to talk about information search, the second step in the consumer decision-making process. An information search is where a consumer searches for information about various alternatives available to satisfy their need or want. Also, an information search can occur internally, externally, or using a combination of both types of search. The process the consumer will go through. Consumers will usually go through a defined process to search for their information. Firstly, the consumer might conduct an internal information search, which is the process of recalling information stored in the memory. This internal information search is largely made up of previous experiences that the consumer has had buying a product or service, such as recalling any information about the prior MacBook Pros or even Apple products and services. Also, consumers will go through an external information search, which seeks information from the outside environment. There are 2 aspects of external information search. There are non-marketing controlled information source and the marketing controlled information source. The non-marketing controlled information source is a product information source that is not associated with advertising or promotion. An example of this information source could be where your best friend just bought a new MacBook Pro and told you all the positive aspects of it. This is an indirect recommendation. In contrast, the marketing controlled information source is a product information source that originates with marketers promoting the product. An example of this would be the newest ad for the MacBook Pro created by Apple, or various ads on social media you see created by Apple. A consumer also might want to touch a physical product and try it out before purchasing the MacBook Pro. The consumer would then go into a MacBook Pro outlet and would play with the MacBook Pro. They would suss out how it feels to them. Some internal information the consumer might consider is the consumer will search through their memory to find any previous examples with Apple or the MacBook Pro. They will then determine how that experience went. If it went well, they might be more inclined to purchase the product, whereas if the experience didn't go so well, there would be a negative experience and may be inclined to not purchase the product. Some external influences a consumer might consider are the two aspects, the non-marketing controlled information source and the marketing controlled information source. Within the non-marketing controlled information source, the consumer might ask their friends and family about the new MacBook Pro to see what they think. If the family and friends have already bought the Apple products and they're satisfied with the product, it's more likely the consumer will go ahead with the purchase. Lamb stated, family is the most important social institution for many consumers, strongly influencing values and attitudes and buying behaviour. Some consumers of Apple will purchase the MacBook Pro because of the perception Apple products are given in society. Within the marketing controlled information source, the consumer might visit Apple's website to search for the MacBook Pro and or visit the physical Apple store to talk to a salesperson. Although these types of information sources are biased towards a specific brand because it originates from the marketers promoting the brand. Now, the information the consumer would obtain. So there's pros and cons. Some of the pros are, according to Apple, up to 17% thinner, up to 130% faster graphics, etc. as stated. Some of the cons, however, according to Cult of Mac, the no SD card, the no HDMI output, the need for new cables, and the dongles for the everything else you need. So now we have Julia, who's going to talk about evaluation of alternatives.
There is a set standard criteria that the average consumer would use to evaluate a product before purchase. However, these criteria would also contain subgroups based on the variables on the consumer: age, gender, purpose of purchase, use of product, and subjective experience. Consumers will collect information which will result in an evoked set. This is a group of brands from which a buyer will choose, and then the consumer will internally search the alternatives they are aware of. There are no single process used by consumers to choose among alternative brands. This evaluation involves the development of a set of criteria to help consumers consider and compare alternatives. Some of these are objective facts, others subjective, like emotions. To decide upon their evoked set, consumers will use both objective and subjective evaluation criteria. Campbell states consumers narrow their choice of brands by evaluating brand according to attributes that are important to them. Then they will select brands that have that attribute. In the subcategory of Apple, they may decide between a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air. Outside of Apple, the often closest compared laptops is the Microsoft Surface Book i7 and the Dell XPS 13. How would the consumer evaluate these alternative laptops? Well, this depends on their need, and there are certain attributes the consumer may consider, which is price, performance, design features, weight, battery life, storage space, brand reputation. There also could be a few possible mandatory requirements, which could be running heavier programs such as Adobe Creative Cloud or Adobe Gaming or other such things. It also could be a minimum storage of 512 gigabytes. Here you will see a table comparing the Apple MacBook Pro, the Microsoft Surface and the Dell. The prices are roughly the same, but the Dell is a little bit cheaper. The main difference is they run different operating systems. The Mac has got the Mac OS Sierra, and the Microsoft and Dell both run Windows 10. The biggest thing is their battery life, which is 10 hours for a MacBook, 16 hours for a Microsoft Surface, and 18 hours for a Dell XPS. And now we have Ashley, who will be talking about the purchase decision and post-purchase behaviour.
The purchase decision is the fourth step of the consumer making decision process. In this stage, we are looking at what factors might influence the consumers, including how they came to their purchase decision. The purchase decision of a consumer will involve investing time in looking at the most desired and preferred brands. This is motivated by an emotion that's triggered as a result of an identifying need. By the purchase stage, the consumer has considered the competitors' options with similar features, being the Microsoft Surface Book i5 and the Dell. They have decided that their preferred brand is Apple. This could be through word of mouth, possibly satisfaction with other Apple products, and guarantee of post-purchase care advertised with the sale of the Apple MacBook Pro. Consumers are even more concerned about environmental and social impacts of products. The consumers are more about seeing, trying and feeling the product, hence they are more involved in the cognitive aspects. So this is recognised by Apple as the stores are very interactive and the company is renowned for the layout of their stores. Every product is on display and is available for test and trial as long as necessary. So customers are not purchasing without prior experience with the product. Another factor that might have influenced the final purchase decision is the company's ranking amongst other notebook makers. So as Keen says, Apple moved into 4th place for notebook makers in 2015, up from 6th in 2014, with HP and Dell still holding the top 3 spots. Apple has competitors that are more highly rated and have better performing laptops, which will influence consumer purchase decisions. Depending on the requirement of the MacBook itself, consumers may not see this computer as a business computer. Many may need additional purchases, including Microsoft bundles, being Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and many may not see the value in paying additional costs. Apple has been known and become a cult brand, which is a company that majority are aware of and that have reliable products and millions around the world use it. Consumers may feel obliged to purchase or own their own Apple product due to it being such a household device. Owning an Apple product has become some sort of social acceptance as a lot of the population own and use it, and it makes sense for a lot of consumers to go forward in its purchase, and due to this reason it is a cult brand. The post-purchase behaviour is when a consumer will reflect on their expectations and decide if they're satisfied or dissatisfied with the purchase of their product. A persuading factor for purchasing the MacBook is the warranty and the return. Apple offer a 1-year warranty with the possibility to extend this warranty, so add on a further 3 years with the Apple Care Protection Program. The 1-year warranty for a MacBook Pro means the laptop is eligible for repairs, available at no charge for 12 months from the date of original retail purchase. Apple offer free in-store workshops that help enhance skills, which is reassurance that you and your product are still relevant after the sale without any further payment. This makes the consumer feel satisfied as they know there's some sort of support system in place for them. If the consumer is satisfied with the way their Apple product functions and the way that their purchase went, they're more likely to come back and as a returning customer.
In conclusion, the 5 stages of the consumer decision-making process ensure that consumers are presented with a desirable brand positioning in the MacBook Pro that is in line with other Apple products and superior to the brand positioning of its competitors. However, the CDMP could be improved by strategies outlined in the following recommendations.
Step 1 is for need recognition. So we recommend that Apple places a high emphasis on this product being a high involvement purchase by communicating high functioning aspects and the new features that it involves. Also specifically target young video bloggers and YouTubers. Target parents for gifting the MacBook Pro to students. And also to better explain the decision to omit certain features such as the USB ports from this model in order to explain how the omission does not reduce the ability of the product to serve consumer needs and wants. So the recommendations for step 2 and 3, information search and evaluation of alternatives, are Apple should run comparative ads against the competitors, highlighting key features of the MacBook Pro and the weaknesses of the competitors. It should use celebrities to endorse the MacBook Pro, such as famous designers using it and displaying how they use their MacBook Pro on a normal day. It can also open more Apple stores for people who don't live close enough to the city, making it easier for regional consumers to gain trusted information. For step 4, purchase decision, Apple needs to keep upgrading and updating to match competitors. The first Windows Surface Pro touchscreen became available February 9th, 2013, whereas the Apple MacBook Pro Touch Bar was released November 23rd, 2016. Due to the new additions to the laptop, such as the new USB ports, an adapter should be included in the box. Recommendations for Step 5, post-purchase behaviour, are to give follow-up emails 3 months after the purchase, which could include a complimentary diagnostics checkup. And that's it.